and welcome to the Vaults of Terra. My name is Ed, and today we're going to be continuing our Primarch videos with a quick look at Konrad Curze. Now, I'm aware that it is pronounced in many different ways: Curze, Cruz, Curze. It's an interesting last name. I'm going to be saying Curze for the majority of this video because that is the way I prefer to pronounce it. If other people have a problem with it, I'll just live with it. In any case, the Primarch Konrad Curze was also known as the Night Haunter. He was considered unstable by his brothers, and it only grew worse by the time of the Horus Heresy. His weapon of choice was terror, and he attacked from the darkness to destroy his foes utterly, but it would be this very darkness that would consume the unstable Primarch in the Horus Heresy. In his youth, Curze was flung from the Emperor's laboratory to the world of Nostromo by the Chaos Gods, crashing through the planet's thin crust and deep into the depths of the night-covered world. Nostromo had a mineral-rich crust primarily made from the super-hard mineral metal known as adamantium or just adamantine, which was forming the base of their mining industry. However, the population lived in fierce poverty, crime and social depression was prevalent, and the population was kept stable by suicide above every other form of death. Curze grew up and learnt to survive on these crime-riddled streets, feeding on feral animals that hunted the streets of Nostromo Quintus, his home city. Even at this time, the Primarch was plagued by dark visions of the future, manifesting as disturbing waking nightmares that were with him for the entirety of his life. Whilst on these streets, as Curze grew, he observed the criminal activities perpetrated by Nostromo's underclass, everything from persecution to murder and even rape, openly practiced by the degenerate elements of the city. Even though haunted by dark visions, Curze desired to make things right and change things for the better. He became a vigilante, at first acting in small ways to help when the limited and corrupt law enforcement of Nostromo Quintus failed. These quickly led to him hunting down those he believed responsible for perpetrating these crimes. At first it was merely a few prominent political figures disappearing mysteriously, then leaders opposing the status quo also vanished. Known criminals would vanish only for their mutilated corpses to be found later. Bodies of officials were also discovered hung out of windows, and body parts were found in multiple places across the city. Many of the bodies were so badly beaten and mutilated that they were beyond recognition. Within a year of this action, the crime rate of the city was close to zero, and the society in the city had changed. Self-imposed curfews began, and parents threatened their children with this new night haunter if they did not behave. It soon became a common term for the unknown assailant, who was described in second-hand accounts as a dark creature with long, razor-sharp talons, disemboweling criminals or evildoers that it stalked. With these changes, Curze saw hope for the people of Nostromo, as he had become the sole icon of fear and hatred in his city. He appeared before the remaining nobility. He convinced them to make him the first monarch of Nostromo Quintus. He took to learning about his new people, and was considered a fair and temperate ruler until he heard of a crime or injustice being carried out. Then he would hunt the guilty down, chasing them through the streets until they were tired and then mutilating their bodies beyond recognition once they were caught. This violent vengeance, contrasted with his benevolent wisdom, led to a strange efficiency and honesty within the city, and across the world other cities followed suit, trying to placate and prevent the vengeance of the Night Haunter Konrad Curze. Curze had not been ruling for long when the Emperor had arrived, the Great Crusade reaching the edge of the Nostromo system. The event had long been prophesied in Nostromo's lore as the event that would bring an end to their world. Alongside the Emperor, his sons, Fulgrim, Ferrus Manus, Dawn and Lorgar, landed on the world. The dark-dwelling citizens of Nostromo were unable to look upon the brilliance of the Emperor, his radiance so blinding that even the reflection from the surface of the road was painful to them. Those who looked directly at the Emperor were completely struck blind. Curze awaited the delegation outside his palace, but was struck by a vision so horrifying that he tried to claw his own eyes out on the spot. However, the Emperor intervened and prevented him from doing so. Finally looking upon his father and his brothers, Curze said he had seen a vision of all their fates and his own death. The following dialogue ensued, for the Emperor said, "Konrad Curze, be at peace, for I have arrived and intend to take you home." And Curze replied, "That is not my name, father. I am the Night Haunter, and I know full well what you intend for me." Curze was taken back to the Greater Imperium, where he was taught the complexities of Astartes warfare by Fulgrim. Curze then had a vision of the Horus Heresy within that time, and informed Fulgrim of their dark fate. However, Fulgrim did not take him seriously at the time. He was eventually placed in command of his legion, which he renamed the Night Lords. Lords, using the tactics of total war and decisive force to win victory on countless worlds. Curze encouraged his legion to decorate their armour to inspire fear in the enemy, which proved to be very effective for the already terrifying Astartes to achieve. Soon even word that a force of Night Lords was approaching made any system the picture of legality, paying all tithes, ceasing any form of illegal activity, and destroying any person or object not sanctioned by the Imperium. Now, new recruits for the Legion were taken from Nostramo, but in Curze's absence the population had fallen back into criminal practices, with mainly criminals becoming the only recruits healthy enough to be recruited by the Legion. Curze's control over his Legion became tenuous in their presence, and Curze became a unique Primarch, as he hated his own legionaries as the criminals he had sought to destroy on his homeworld and failed. The Night Lord's Primarch had also strained relations with his brothers from Curze's attitude to his tactics. Dawn and Vulcan openly objected to his usage of his marines, and did not appreciate his tactics on the battlefield. When he heard of the crimes on his homeworld, Curze tried to confide in Dawn and Fulgrim, who were campaigning with him at the time, but relations had never been close, and their reactions were far from favourable. After this, Fulgrim told Dawn of Curze's visions of the Horus Heresy. Dawn confronted Curze over this, and Curze snapped from the betrayal of trust from Fulgrim. Curze attacked Dawn, wounding him as well as killing several Imperial Fist legionaries. Dawn pursued Curze to Nostramo, arriving in time to see Curze's fleet finally destroying their own planet under a sustained orbital bombardment. With this act and the equally unpredictable actions of Curze's forces on campaign, some who knew of such things suspected the Night Haunter and his legion of being touched by the warp. Soon Curze's only purpose was to spread death, horror and fear. He was recalled to Terra to answer for his actions, but the recall had only just arrived when the Imperium was thrown into chaos by the Horus Heresy. Curze quickly swore to fight for Horus, and revealed as such during the Istvan Dropsite Massacre, where he and Lorgar fought against Korax. Afterwards, he captured his brother Vulcan to torture and kill, but found that Vulcan was a perpetual, incapable of dying. After enduring torment at Curze's hands, the Salamander Primarch escaped. In the years after the massacre, Curze would engage Lionel Johnson of the Dark Angels in a series of hit-and-run raids in the Tharmas sector, eventually leaving a message for the Dark Angel Primarch to meet him on Tasgulsa. There he revealed some of his prophecies to the Lion, but afterwards they fought. Curze cut Lion's throat, but Curze was stabbed in the back. Both legions retreated because of these injuries, but later the Dark Angels would ambush the Night Lords. Curze was incapacitated by the Lion and taken prisoner on the Lion's flagship. However, Curze escaped and evaded the Lion for over 16 weeks in the bowels of his own flagship. Curze escaped the ship when the Dark Angels arrived at Macragge, homeworld of the Ultramarines. There he wreaked havoc until he was confronted by Guilliman of the Ultramarines and Lion. There he revealed their ambush to be a trap, and he actually blew up the building they were all standing in. He escaped whilst the others were teleported out at the last second. Thinking them dead, Curze was going to commit more atrocities when he was confronted by the now insane Vulcan. They battled across the city, destroying large sections of it, before the duel was ended by others who intervened, and Curze was actually banished into the warp with the help of a captured demon by the others. He reappeared weeks later outside Macragge's capital and eventually made it back to his fleet, where he had a part to play in the invasion of Terra, although the details of which are limited. After the siege failed, Curze began to attack across the Imperium, but with a desperate intensity that betrayed his growing insanity and loss of purpose. He fell into a depression and was eventually assassinated by the Imperial assassin known as Machen, although in his own last words he had seen this assassination coming and wished now for death, allowing his life to be taken. It's believed he finally saw himself as a murderous and corrupt villain, and the very thing he had tried to destroy, but no one can be sure. Now, the character's last name is probably inspired by the novella Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad, where a former ivory trader in the Congo named Kurtz, hence why Curze, rules over the native population as a charismatic demigod. The book was later adapted into the Vietnam War movie Apocalypse Now, where Kurtz's assassinator is played by Martin Sheen, who is possibly what Machen, the name of the Imperial assassin, relates to, although, however, there may be other meanings for this word in other languages. I don't know exactly, but that's what I've been told. The first name, Konrad, is probably inspired by the author's last name. And just finally, it's hinted at in the book Lord of the Night that Curze actually had a dual personality. One side was good, just and righteous, and the other side was dark, hungry for violence and evil. It's unfortunate that it looks like the evil side won out eventually over Curze's more pious nature. So that's everything I wanted to say on Konrad Curze today. If you have anything you'd like to add, please leave it in the comment section below, including the numerous pronunciation corrections. They're always fun to read. Also, if there's anything you'd like to send me directly, you can send me a personal message on YouTube. Also, just a public service announcement. As you know, I will be doing a role-playing session on Twitch with a bunch of other players using the Dark Heresy system. However, we've put the date back a week due to a guy dropping out of the game, so it's going to be the 7th. So it's going to be the 14th of March at 6 PM GMT when it is broadcast. Obviously, you'll need to correct for your own time zone, and hopefully that will go well. So I hope to see you there. And you can also go to the link in the description to see my live streams that I'm currently doing on a semi-regular basis, and if you want to watch the video archives, they are there. So that's everything I wanted to say today. See you next time on the Vaults of Terra.